Okay, so I'm doing this video in English for my international friends. We're working on this big piece of land which extends up to, 50 meters up. And over here we're on our zone 3 or 4, which we haven't started working on yet. But we have a little creek which we use, and we have set up a ram pump, a hydraulic pump, to elevate water 24/7 into high altitudes. We get our water up to our zone 0, where we are working on our first project right now. So this is the ram pump. It's a hydraulic pump which actually converts the kinetic energy of flowing water to supersonic shock waves, which increase instantly the pressure and the velocity of water, so you can elevate it into higher altitudes. Which is quite simple. Every time this valve closes, it creates a hammer effect, which in turn creates a supersonic shock wave. Over here we have a valve which opens oppositely. This one opens like that, the other one opens like that. So every time this valve closes, this opens, and the water that is entering with high velocity and high pressure goes to this air chamber, which has air inside, which compresses, decompresses, and lets the water escape from here. And this is how it actually works. 24/7, 12 months a year, without any burning of fossil fuels or electricity, and with just two simple parts, two flapper valves, check valves. So this is our zone 0, our zone 4, sorry, which has to be fenced because there are literally hundreds or thousands of grazing animals roaming around here. So until we fence it, we decided to plant some trees and fence the trees, over here. Over here we have platanus trees that were already there, and huge olive trees, and we decided to fill it with avocado trees, which do quite well here. They're near the river. Maybe during the winter they stop growing, but right now they're doing very well. This is a 1-year-old avocado tree, and over here we're filling it with other trees. Here we have planted walnut trees, and even a small mango, which I don't know if you can see because it's very small, but it's still alive. So we're gonna go up to our zone 0 to show you our first project, which we have called our project Freemaculture, which is from freestyle permaculture. So we're using the basic tenets of permaculture, and we're playing along, we're freestyling, and we're experimenting on different things. So we use the water from the creek over here to irrigate some trees that we have fenced. We use all kinds of trees, some pistachio, pomegranates, more pistachio. There's a Japanese tree, I don't remember the English name. Fruit trees, apple trees, Also almonds, lemon trees. We didn't pay much attention to the soil over here because we have time for that. Avocados, fig trees. This fig tree is actually 1 year old and it's much taller than me right now. It's about 2 meters. So over here, as you can see, we are up to 15 meters or maybe more, and we managed to have a very good flow of water from the pump, which was a big challenge for us because in order to go to zone 0, which is over there, we're gonna have to go up to 20-25 meters. Over here we're about 20 meters high from the river, and we have a pretty good flow from our pump. Pretty good. This is enough to irrigate a lot of land over here. This is great. So let's go to our zone 0 to see what's going on. Our zone 0 is over there. It's inside here, which we have a greenhouse, which is a circle within a circle that is surrounded by zone 0 crops, herbs, plants and everything. Oops. This is a little pumpkin that grew by itself, probably from the seed. This will be our grey water system. We're going to have some plants that help filter the water, although we don't use any chemicals, we just use green soap, so there's nothing much to filter. This is an old stone house which was completely decimated, so I don't know if we might have any use for that. We'll see. There's a drop of water over here. Never mind. So zone 0 is fenced because we couldn't work otherwise. This is our north side, which we have planted a lot of plants that thrive in the shadow. I have to clean this camera. Well, forget about it. Over here we have planted some evergreen trees that are gonna act as windbreakers for our southern facing gardens. So this is our greenhouse. It's made out of cob. It's just raw clay, sand and straw. This is gonna have a lot of tropical plants that are not frost tolerant. My mother is calling. Reject. Like it's gonna have a banana over here. It's quite high. It's about 4.5-5 meters high. Cocoa, coffee and other things that grow well in a greenhouse. Here's our kitchen. It's right next to our gardens, so we get outside, we get what we want and we cook it. This is a rocket water heater. It's the most efficient combustion of wood. It has a copper coil wrapped around it, so you put some wood here and it heats the water. It leaves over here, it goes into this tank. The hot water pushes the cold water down, and it continues this cycle over and over again, taking advantage of natural circulation, and within half an hour it's full of hot water. And when the system is hot, it needs about 10 minutes to get full again. So let's clean this a bit. I'm supposed to clean it with this thing over here, but it's fine. We have our electrical installations on this side, which is much more shady, so it doesn't get very hot. It's simple. We have a solar charger, a big battery, an inverter, and our panel, of course, over here. And we have 8 solar panels up in the sun, which gives us 1500 watts per unit of time. And with this system we meet more than enough of our needs for now and for the near future for sure. Okay, so let's go to share zone 0. We're experimenting with different combinations of companion planting. For example, this bed has corn, black-eyed peas, peach, lupin, zinnia flowers, cappuccino flowers, calendula, chamomile, white clover, red amaranth, tubers, okra, comfrey, boraz, and sunflowers. Okay, this is corn, this is our okra, these are zinnia flowers, all working together. These are black-eyed peas. It's an ecosystem in and of itself. Of course, we have comfrey and other nitrogen fixers. So, the chamomile and the tubers repel pests for corn. The zinnia and calendula flowers and the cappuccino flowers are sacrificial and attract predators for the pests. So they attract the predators that will then attack the pests that are damaging your crops. The clover, the white clover, is a very good ground cover, so it retains humidity and keeps a very low shade, and also cools down the root system, so it doesn't get really hot because it's almost 40 degrees over here. And it's also a good, we have a lot of flowers that are good pollinators and companions for corn and nitrogen fixers. Lupin is a nitrogen fixer, black-eyed peas are nitrogen fixers, and of course we have 0 pests. This is our second bed. This is interesting because we have made a tomato and cucumber trellis, which lets the cucumbers and the tomatoes climb over here, and in the middle we have things that will take advantage of the shade that the trellis produces. So this bed has tomatoes, cherry tomatoes and real tomatoes, cucumbers, white beans, lettuce, arugula, parsley, dill, leek, onions, lobelia flowers, coreopsis, and that's about all. Also basil, beets, spinach, comfrey, peppers, chamomile, portulaca weed and hairy vetch. So, ideally, the shading of the vines will keep the parsley and the dill and the arugula in a... the arugula has produced some flowers. Here we have some dill, the tomatoes that are climbing up, black-eyed peas, tomatoes. This is an amaranth flower which grew by itself, cucumber, tomatoes, lettuce. You know, here under the shade we can see the parsley and the arugula, and they're all working together. We have basil over here, taking advantage of the system. And there's nothing at all that attacks them. A lot of bees and pollinators, I don't know if you can see them, all kinds of little bugs here on the arugula flowers right now and the dill flowers, which is great. It's amazing because the more pollinators you have, the more productive your crops. We'll have basil everywhere, the pumpkin. We're still working on these beds. We have comfrey everywhere, which is a great nitrogen fixture and also a good pollinator for bees and stuff like that. This is perennial basil. Over here we have pumpkins, zucchini, peppers. These are second year peppers and they seem to be more productive the second year. And of course calendula flowers everywhere. Basil, spearmint, basil, spearmint, some bushes. This is again a tomato trellis, which is very productive. It's good for cherry tomatoes especially, to climb up because they get more ventilated and they don't suppress all the other crops. And of course it's easy to collect. It's easier to collect the tomatoes. You can see them, they don't fall on the ground. It's very productive. We're still working on these terraces. On the first two we have spearmint over here next to the foundations. They have great roots which retain water. This is fire sage. Over here this is a good combination. It's strawberries, a succession of strawberries and asparagus, which works very well. Here we have some vines. This is a Lyciscus plant. It's the one that you use to make beer. It creates a nice shade over here. On this side we have kiwi. Some artichoke, comfrey, some flowers over here. This is going to be our flower garden to attract pollinators. These raised beds are all in the shade, so they're going to have plants that thrive in partial sun. We have some nurseries here from trees, an apple tree. This is called arbororiza. I don't know the English name for that, but it smells great. We have also passion fruit, which is ready to, it's going very well. Also other vines, grapevines. We also put dates. We're going to have dates later on. Avocado trees. This is one that you use to make castor oil. Figs. Lemon trees, berries, all kinds of stuff. So, this is our first video. We're going to have to move on to the next raised beds and keep working. I'm going to show you the progression because it's going to be much different in half a month or so. Oh, this is the roof of our greenhouse, which is a green roof. We have creeping rosemary growing, which protects the roof from the wind, the air and the sun, and it's also a good insulation and air filtering. We put trees perimetrically surrounding our fencing, like fig trees, mulberry trees, almond trees, and we make sure they're in such a distance that they don't shade our garden. So we're gonna keep making videos, show your progression, and hopefully we're gonna have some good production this year. Basil everywhere, comfrey, basil, calendula. We like it.